Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today, dude, we got a hot take right now. We're going to be talking about the recent bomb drop from CoD CS that specifically talks about the supposed merge that is going to be happening between, and let me just make sure I get this off right so I can show you guys here, right? From what we're hearing, it is going to be between SS1-1, which is the current kingdom, which is the first merged kingdom currently, right? That's from between kingdoms 1 through 4. And then kingdoms 5 and 6 are going to be merged into SS1-1 next season. Now, we don't know if that's going to be keeping the same name or will it have a new name, right? Will it be SS2-0001 or is it just going to stay the same and then 5 or 6 are going to go? In today's video, I am going to talk about why I truly believe this is not in the best interest of the game and the community going forward. This is not to say that it is a bad move or the wrong move, but it is to specifically talk about how I believe there is a better approach, a different approach where it will garner more favor, better reactions from the community, and it will actually fall in line with something that the game is already doing. So we're going to talk about all of that, and also for those of you that want to go and upvote a suggestion that I have now submitted. It's actually the first one I've ever done, but if you want to go and do that, I'm going to have a link for that. That's going to be, and we're going to talk about it as well, but I have a suggestion that I've submitted. It's here in the suggestions part of the CoD Discord. I'm going to have a link to this suggestion in the description in the pinned comment, and then we're going to talk about it in a sec. So let's start with me finding, I have to go and find now the post. It's only a little bit above here where CoD CS says it, and then we're going to talk about it. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you sub, like, ring the notification bell. If you want to join and be a part of our conversation and or our group for one global release and or after launches, make sure you join. That's going to be in the pinned comment description as well, down below. So let's find this. We're going to read some reactions too as well from the community, but I'm going to wait to read those at the end, right? So I'm going to start with reading the... Oh gosh, I'm going to find it. Give me a moment. And so we'll start with reading... Oh, hang on. It's not that one. I know someone pinged me for this. Oh, they did. It's a little higher. Here we go. Oh, wait. Here it is. Found it. Okay, cool. So that just took a minute. So CoD CS says, hello, server 1 to server 6 will be merged together. Things with that will reset. You can see in August on season rewards achievements. So here's the confirmation from CoD CS that essentially says kingdoms 1 through 6, SS1-1, plus kingdom 5 and 6 are going to get merged together next season. This is now where I want to talk about, and I'm going to go through my suggestion here, right? We're going to kind of use this as our template to go through, right? So one of the things that most of you know about how I like to go about things is I like to make sure that we have data. There has to be supporting data and supporting information when we're going to speak on something. That to me is extremely important. In addition, if you look at the way that my suggestion, and I'm not slighting anyone else's suggestion, you do you, boo. But I want to point something out. If you look at everyone else's suggestion and you see, for the most part, it kind of just comes off as a wall of text, right? Some people will format, right? Like Akira uses some BB code, which is nice, and does some formatting. However, when you look at my suggestion, you'll see that I really like to take it to another level where it's very clear on what's happening. There's nice format. It's very professional with how it's presented. And then on top of that, we have data. So let's break this down, right? And this is my recommendation for those of you that are looking to submit suggestions. It's important to have a proposal. What are the reasons, right? What's your evidence or what is your explanation for why you believe something should be changed to support your argument or your proposal? And then I just have like a little miscellaneous thing, which doesn't really play into anything. But let's break this down top. So my proposal is essentially, right, as a lot of other people have mentioned, right, it's just kingdom 5 through 8, kingdom 9 through 12, 13 through 16. This is how it would look on the boards. And then here's the reasons. Number one, it would allow for us to follow a consistent trend. What is that trend? Well, the trend is what the precedent has already been established from kingdoms 1 through 4 going in and becoming SS1-0001 or SS1-1 for short. So we already have a foundation, a baseline to go off of. Why not just effortlessly follow that? You already have it in place. It makes a lot more sense than trying to create a whole new system or a different way of approaching. Now, if the game decided, you know what, instead of merging 4 kingdoms together, we're just going to merge 2 kingdoms together. Okay, that's different. They just come out with an announcement, explain that, let 5 through 6 merge, then 7 through 8 merge. Even though I truly believe and I really like the approach, I just think this is genius. I really love the different innovation that COD is going, that Call of Dragons is taking with doing 4 kingdom merges and that just being set, right? And that's something that you want people to get into. You want them to buy into that. Right? And so you want to try and make the fewest amount of changes, if not really any big foundational changes, so that way when the game hits global and you start doing the launch, everyone is just on the same page. Right? It's not really ideal to be flippant, going one way, another way, kind of changing what's happening, unless there's like really true justification for it. Then we go into the reasons. Like I said, number 1, consistent trend. Number 2, the example in merging Kingdom 5 and 6 with SS1, though it would boost activity, there would be an imbalance. And I go and I explain what that imbalance is. So I went to go and do some data, and you can see here that Kingdom ages, Kingdoms 1 through 4, have a 43-day spread in their ages. Kingdoms 5 through 8 have a 12-day spread. This is an improvement. That's what you want to happen, right? Eventually, you want to get it to a point where you're releasing a kingdom every day, and then the gap is lessened, so that way you have more fair competition and power balance and average growth of account development, right? So instead of you having 12 days, if a kingdom releases every day, as an example, now let's just say if it's kingdom 100 through 104, now you have, or 103, I guess it would be, then you have a 4-day gap, right? So that means each kingdom is only a day old. That is so much better, meaning that you're not going to have wider power imbalances, not only from a player perspective, but from an alliance perspective and an alliance development perspective, right? And so those are things that are really important to take note of. And then the kicker here, and this was wild to me when I pulled the stat, is if you look at kingdoms 1 through 4, right, slash SS1-1, right, from kingdom 1 to kingdom 8, and then you do the short end, which is kingdom 4 to kingdom 5, the gap is between 76 days and 131 days when it comes to these kingdoms slash groups development. That is wild. That's bananas. In my opinion, that is too far of a gap. That's too much of an imbalance. Then, let's dig deeper. Even if you look at the number 200 player on the SS1-1 kingdom, and then you look at the number 200 player on kingdoms 5 and 8, or 5 and 6, you see here, this is what we consider the bubble position, right, because the number 200 position can change. But as of this post submission, the number 200 player on SS1-1 is 18.35 million. And then you look at S5, or Kingdom 5, it's 6.8 mil, and then Kingdom 6, it's 5.27 mil. That is an incredibly wide gap. You're looking at 12.3 mil to about 13 mil, right? A little more than 13 mil for Kingdom 6. That is wild, right? And let me point something out. It doesn't mean that this gap is never going to close. That's not the point we're making here. What we're making is the fairness of pairing kingdoms with each other along the same lines that the game paired kingdoms 1 through 4 on. Now, yes, there was a gap between kingdoms 1 through 4. But as we saw in videos I've covered, kingdoms 2 and 4 ended up overpowering kingdom 1 when it came to alliance power, right? Because of the fact that, one, there was a lot, if you consider the level of hype now versus the level of hype when Kingdom 2, 3, and 4 came out, just because there was already so many players that were waiting, right? And yes, you still have players waiting, but the balance allowed for that activity that came in to then get to that point. And then they merged those 4 kingdoms together. Well, all we're asking is just to follow that same consistent trend, let it play out, and then reassess down the line if needed. So, and then let's talk about alliance power. So alliance power, the number 7, we looked at the top seven alliances for each, right? And I just did this calculation. So SS1-1 is currently at 15.13 billion. S5 is at 3.67 billion, and S6 is at 3.2 billion. If you combined S5 and S6, you would be at 6.87 billion. That is still 2.5 times less average than SS1-1. That is a huge discrepancy and a huge imbalance. So then we look at number 3. If the above merge was to go forward, there would be players that, I should have said that. There would be players that would feel demoralized, quit, and overall does not enjoy nor feel good about the decision. This can impact the amount of time they spend on the game, whether or not they spend any money or continue to, if they give this game a recommendation or not, and to other unseen or unforeseen factors. Number 4, the proposed merge above will show the community that fairness, consistency, and integrity are being upheld. Showing the commitment to that, where enough data can be gathered first to then decide on what to do in the future, can be a humbling approach, and one, in my opinion, that strengthens one's community. Groups of 4 kingdoms can feel comfortable that they know what's coming and can also more appropriately prepare for it instead of not knowing what to expect. This allows for groups to be closer in age range and power gaps, making the player experience more fair and balanced. And then I just kind of go into an example of number 3 point, which is that, for SS1-1, one approach is just to wait. And this is what I just think should happen, right? Just wait for Kingdoms 5 through 8 to merge. Let them play a season out. Let SS1 line up SS1-1's season restart, with when Kingdoms 5 through 8 go into their SS1-2 kingdom. Let that season play out. And then when the season plays out, decide, okay, are we going to merge SS1-1 and -2 together, right? Which could happen. Or would migration be a thing by then? And then maybe you don't have to worry about that. But remember, we're in beta, folks. We should not expect the best of the best and everything is going to be catered to us. The developers may have to make patient and time-based decisions that in the long run will pay off, even if in the short term we have to persevere a bit, right? Sure, for players that are in SS1-1, is it not necessarily maybe the most ideal for them to play another season out with the same current alliances? Give or take, right? Some might not want that. But on the flip side, it also allows for us to see how a new season with the same exact alliances could play out. Will the landscape change? Will players leave alliances and join others? Will alliances shift? You could argue that it could be an entirely new way, a new season that plays out with new alliances on top. It may not be the exact same thing that plays out before. So that is something to consider, is that it is arguably a new experience. So that's my recommendation, is wait for it to time out, right? And this is just kind of an odd thing. You do not have to upvote or downvote this suggestion based on number 3. I made that very clear here on this point, right? Where it says it's more of notes and does not have to be considered for whether this gets upvoted or downvoted. The main takeaway should be 1 and 2. But that's just my view as one way that the game can be approached. So again, if you believe in this, if it makes sense to you, right, I like to believe there's enough data, enough supporting data here, and enough logic and rationale behind it that hopefully we can have this be the main post that gets upvoted. I know in my position and other creators' positions, one of the benefits that we have is a community and hopefully people that enjoy the content that we put out and you enjoy what each of these creators, myself or others, speak about. And that's something that draws you and gravitates you towards individual, just any creators for that matter. So again, if you believe in this, right, please go ahead and upvote it. Again, there's a link in the description, pin comment down below, share it with your friends, right? One of the, and this is the last pro tip I'll mention, one of the great opportunities that communities have when it comes to banding together and trying to push forward what we feel are meaningful changes, especially when the community is almost crying, right? When they're begging and pleading for things like that, is I hope for individuals like myself and others or that are in positions where we have followings and play the game to where we understand why the change has value and why it would be good for the game overall. It's important that we speak up. It's important that we put together something that has good presentation, has good visual prowess when it's being read by others, and has some weight and some substance behind it, in addition to your votes, right? If it's something that you believe in. And if we can get this to hundreds of votes or hundreds of upvotes, right, then that's something that the developers cannot ignore. It doesn't necessarily mean that a change will happen, but it at least means that they have to consider it and take it seriously. And that is always the best place to approach from, right? It's make our case, make our stand, show them why we love the game and why we think this would be a meaningful change in a positive/net positive direction. And hopefully, if we're lucky, it'll be something that they consider. With that in mind, I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments below. Right? What do you think about this? Do you think it's well written? Do you think it's well drafted? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Why not? Let me know in the comments below. That's going to be it for me. As always, until next time, I will catch you later.